Hello. Good morning. So here we are. Here we are again. I was just sitting here thinking. Was I thinking? I don't know if I was thinking. I was sitting here for a while listening to Muji and conversations from the last few days have been going in my mind and the people that I've been working with and it seems that we're somewhat addicted to our stories, that we're somewhat addicted to our victim story even. So when we can't see the addiction to our drama, when we can't see the addiction to our tragedy, it just seems so obvious to me now that for years when I was, I had an addiction, physical addiction with alcohol and drugs, I was in denial. I was like, no, that's not a problem. That's how I cope. The problem is this friggin' world. And then eventually I realized that if I, stopped drinking and using, that my life would become a little more bearable. And then I realized that my thinking was the problem, and so going in depth into that, I've realized that I have a story about myself, and the story is often a victim story and a poor me story, and it's in the shadows, it's in the behindness, and it likes to tweak the script all the time, and but not realizing that, I often have lived in denial. I've lived in still in a world of denial and victim. And so how do we see that? How do we see that? It has a voice of its own. It actually, it has been somewhat the director. And in the 12-step world, in AA, it talks about the fact that we have 100 forms of fear, and that we're living in self-delusion. Self-delusion, what does that mean? That's what I'm talking about. Self-delusion and self-pity. What is self-pity? That's, again, the victim story. So it says that we're there. And then ego tells us, after, we've done a bit of work and we've been around a couple of years, that we've got that figured out. But we can't figure it out. It tells us over and over again that we have to have a spiritual experience to have it removed. We have to be lifted up. We can't muck around in it and manage it and kind of get it all placed so it doesn't bother us anymore. We have to really be lifted out of it, so that we're not living in me first, selfishness and self-centeredness. That's the root of our troubles, it says. And that's been my experience. So hard, though, for the eye to see the eye. And that's why when we're working with others, it's so, it's like, oh my gosh, I see me in them. Recently I was working with some people, and the addiction, especially the addiction with alcohol and drugs, had taken so many lives in their family. So many lives in their family, and they were all still in it, and it's like, oh my gosh. But there's a fear, an inherent story that the world isn't trustworthy, or the people aren't trustworthy, so that has to be bypassed. It's interesting that that story is there, so. But seeing it in others, it allows me to see it in me. Seeing it in others allows me to see it in me. And the journey Of course, ego always tells me, oh, you got it now. It doesn't matter where I'm at in the awakening. Ego says, this is it. You got it. You're fine now. You'll be good. Carry on. And so there's nothing to carry on, really. There's just now. And when I recognize that there's just now, so I see myself, good stuff. And then back to this moment. Okay, here I am. Here you are. This is where we meet with this intelligence, this amazing bliss, this amazing love is in the moment. And all of the story then is gone. Nice to be aware of it. Say, oh, look, there it is. And then here we are right now. This is the promise, really, is that we find this peace now, and we practice coming to now. And as we come to now, the story drops away. That is the spiritual experience. When it says in our book that God can and will be sought, this is the sought. This is what all the teachers have been teaching us, that God is a concept in the now. It isn't something separate that we have to get to or win his approval or, it's now. So, and being aware of the nature of my illness is also a part of the process. So not to dwell there, but just to see that the ego is cunning, baffling, and powerful. I love that, cunning, baffling, and powerful. I'm not dealing with, some little weakling. The old story is very strong. It's even generational. And so, and it's cultural. Yes, so how do I bust that? I have to see it, Speaking of that, in a few minutes here this morning, my friend Trevor Thibodeau is going to come, and we're going to do an interview because he has a tool for busting the story. He really does, and it's called the Enlightenment Intensive or the Satori Experience, and he's about to do a 4-day or 3.5-day, 4-day experience, and in a couple of days, in a week or two, and so I really encourage people to look at that. If you truly want to bust the story, and the story, we're blind in the story. We think we know, and we don't, and so busting the story takes sometimes some big tools, some big tools, and the Enlightenment Intensive is a, it's like an atomic bomb in a way. It has the potential to be the sledgehammer, to smash the story, and we awaken and see, and it's, so easy though then to fall back in. So, some of us, it takes multiple times to, to melt away, and because it's strong. Our identity with culture, with preferences, with likes and dislikes, wants and fears. Our identity with that is part of our story. So, and constantly measuring the mind, constantly measuring, constantly saying, this is good and this is bad, this is right and this is wrong. All of that can be busted for a moment. And then we break free into this moment. And then the results show in our lives. I don't know that this is true, but I'm going to just say that I'm so pleased that God and life is, I put a picture up today in Facebook of my kids, and I'm just grateful, so grateful that, something happened, something, to me they seem to be somewhat well balanced, and I'm just grateful. Part of my motivation years ago was to break the chain of dysfunction and addiction in my family. It was part of the long-term story in my family, and and I'm just blessed. Thank you, God. Thank you, this moment. Thank you, life. That their path is different, and we can be instrumental in breaking the chain. We can, I believe that, and in this moment, my mother, with all my heart, I believe this is true. My mother was what we used to call a prayer warrior. She spent hours and hours and hours in prayer. And for her kids, she had 5 of us, and we were a tough bunch. Boy, oh boy. We were the house in the corner. You didn't cut through our yard, because we were angry and chip on our shoulders. I had the biggest chip. Oh, God, you could, see me coming a block away. And as a kid, I was an angry little shit. I was so, living in my victim story. And I believe with all my heart, with everything that's in me, that there's power in prayer. Prayer brings us into the moment. And her love and her prayer lifted us all out of that. To greater or lesser degrees. I can't judge. I believe that, it's been happening. We've been really blessed. And so there is a possibility for us to lift up those that are close to us, those that we love, by doing the work, by being committed, by absolutely being committed to this work, to finding our way to this moment. So I encourage you, and yeah, there's lots of details around that, what brings us into the moment, breath, the enlightenment intensive, prayer, gratitude, service to others, all of those things bring us into the moment. Being with great teachers. I've spent hours this year with Muji on video. It's just amazing. I believe he's a very high vibrational character, and in the play, and his vibration lifts many. And so I choose to spend time with the higher vibration. Going to 12-step meetings is lifts us up and lifts up others. So there's many ways. But as we fall into the lower realms of fear and guilt and shame and anger and desire, we can't see. We forget. We get stuck, and we think what's happening around us is true. And my job is I believe, to help, to be an example, to be available, to ring your bell. Do I have a bell? I do. I think I have a bell. Look at this. We're going to ring your bell. Yes. Wake up. That's enough of that. Okay, I'm going to read for a minute and break the chain, baby. Sometimes it's funny with the ego. We're often so full of what I call self-hate, many of us, in the ego, that there's no way we would do the work for ourselves. But many of us will have a soft spot for our children. So we'll say, okay, I'll give everything I can to become, free, so that I can be that example. And many of us have a soft spot for our kids. And that was the thing for me in the beginning. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me. What are we on? Is this the 23rd? I think it is. Yeah, 23rd of September. Okay, you guys, here we go. Hopefully I can see this. I think I need to get some glasses. Hey, Jason, Brenda, Toby. Nice to see you guys. This is in this book, the 24-Hour Day book that I've been reading. He's been going over the steps a little bit, and today he starts with the 12th step. He says, 12th step is having had a spiritual awakening. See, 1937, they wrote this, spiritual awakening. As a result of these steps, I carry this message to alcoholics and to others, and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So we're trying to live an honest, loving, compassionate life and carry this message. Note that they carry this message ahead of practicing the principles, right? Carry the message ahead of practicing the principles. Because we can often fall short on the principles and still carry an amazing message. Note that the basis of our effectiveness in carrying the message to others is the reality of our own spiritual awakening. If we have not changed, we cannot be used to change others. To keep this program, we must pass it on to others. We cannot hoard it for ourselves. We may lose it unless we give it away. It cannot flow into us and stop. It must continue to flow into us as it flows into others, as it flows out to others. And his question is, am I always ready to give away what I have gained, what I have seen, what I have awoken to in the 12-step world in AA? Oh. Beautiful, eh? Meditation for the day. Draw nigh unto God, and he will draw nigh unto you. I think he's quoting a little scripture there. So it's true. If we're looking, it's a priority for us. If we're looking, then we will see. Knock and the door will be opened, right? We've always said, show me, God, and I'll believe. And God has said, believe and I'll show you. So when you are faced with a problem beyond your strength, you must turn to God by an act of faith. I don't even think we have to wait for problems. We just do. And there is no problems. It's just, we're living in the continued intuition. When we are faced with a problem beyond our strength, we must turn to God by an act of faith. It is that turning to God in each trying situation that we must cultivate. I love that, because it is a bit of a cultivation. The turning may be one of glad thanksgiving, so gratitude for God's grace in our life, or our appeal to God may be a prayerful claiming of his strength to face a situation and finding that you have it when the time comes. Not only the power to face trials, but also the comfort and joy of God's nearness and companionship are yours for the asking. Beautiful. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may draw near to God. I pray that I may draw near to God each day in prayer. I pray that I may feel his nearness and his strength in my life. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I just sat down this morning and kind of made a decision about the Bhagavad Gita. We're going to read it starting on the 6th of October. That's a Tuesday. So I think what we'll do is we'll read Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So the 6th, 7th, and the 8th at 11 o'clock. And then we will repeat the following week on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and repeat again on the following week, however long it takes to get through this. And because it's so deep, it's so simple, though, too, it may take some time. And I'm going to set us up on Zoom. So we'll be on Zoom, and we'll also be on Facebook Live. And I think each one of the readings, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, will be a half hour to 45 minutes, reading and discussion of the Bhagavad Gita. And oh my gosh, I need to share that I'm not an authority on this. I'm just venturing in with you. We're just going to venture in together. And so the Bhagavad Gita, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, starting on the 6th of October, and then every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday after until we get through it. And could take 2, 3, possibly even 4 weeks. I'm not sure, but that's the plan. Okay. Love you, and thank you for allowing me this space to share and to love. And yeah, break the chain, baby. Okay.